In the quiet, upscale neighborhood of Palm Beach, Florida, on March 15, 2023, an event occurred that shocked the local community. Gregory Harlo, a 68-year-old millionaire and head of the family, was found dead in his home office. The body was discovered by the housekeeper, Maria Gomez, at around 7:30 a.m. when she arrived to prepare breakfast. The police arrived at the scene at 7:45 a.m. Detectives John Martinez and Sarah Chun, who were leading the investigation, immediately noted the unusual circumstances of the death. Gregory was sitting at his desk, his head tilted back, with clear signs of strangulation on his neck. A broken vase lay on the floor, and the desk drawers were pulled out and overturned, suggesting a possible struggle or search for something valuable. The initial examination of the crime scene revealed no signs of forced entry. This led investigators to believe that the killer might have been known to the victim. Given Gregory Harlo's status and influence, the case was immediately given high priority. Gregory Harlo was known in Palm Beach as a successful businessman and philanthropist. He founded and led Harlo Technologies, a company specializing in developing software for the financial sector. Over 30 years, Gregory transformed a small startup into a corporation worth several $billion. Gregory's personal life, however, was not as smooth as his career. His wife, Eleanor, passed away from cancer 5 years ago. The couple had 2 children, 35-year-old Evelyn and 32-year-old Derek. Evelyn Harlo followed in her father's footsteps. She earned an MBA from Harvard University and held the position of Vice President of Development at her father's company. Colleagues described her as an ambitious and determined woman. Evelyn was married to James Foster, an investment banker, but the couple did not have children. Derek Harlo, the younger son, chose a completely different path. After graduating from college, he decided to become an artist, much to his father's disappointment. Derek lived in New York, where he rented a small studio. His work received recognition in certain circles but did not achieve commercial success. Financially, Derek was still dependent on the family. The relationship between Gregory and his children was complicated. Evelyn was clearly her father's favorite, which caused jealousy and resentment in Derek. Gregory often criticized his son's choices, considering his lifestyle irresponsible. This led to Derek rarely appearing at the family home in recent years. A week before his death, Gregory convened a family meeting. At the meeting, he announced his decision to hand over the management of the company to Evelyn and to change his will in her favor. According to the new document, Evelyn was to inherit 75% of her father's estate, including a controlling share in Harlo Technologies. Derek was to receive the remaining 25%, but only on the condition that he took a position in the company. This decision sparked a strong reaction. Evelyn was pleased, seeing it as recognition of her contributions and dedication to the family business. Derek, however, saw the news as a betrayal. A heated argument ensued, during which Derek accused his father of manipulation and of being unable to accept his choices. He left the meeting, slamming the door. Tension filled the Harlo home in the days that followed. Gregory remained firm in his decision. Evelyn tried not to intervene in the conflict, and Derek ignored calls from both his father and sister. No one could have predicted that this family discord would be the prelude to a tragedy that would unfold just a few days later. Detectives John Martinez and Sarah Chun began the investigation by interviewing family members and staff. Housekeeper Maria Gomez reported that the night before, around 10 p.m., she heard a loud argument in Gregory's office. She couldn't make out the words, but recognized the voices of Gregory and his son, Derek. Evelyn Harlo was the first to be questioned. She said that on the night of the murder, she was at home with her husband, James. According to her, they went to bed around 11 p.m. and didn't hear anything suspicious. Evelyn confirmed the recent change in the will and acknowledged that it had caused conflict within the family. Father always wanted the company to stay in the family. I worked for years to prove my competence. But Derek never showed any interest in the business, Evelyn said during the interrogation. James Foster, Evelyn's husband, corroborated her alibi. He also added that he had recently noticed tension between Gregory and Derek. Gregory was disappointed with his son's choices. He believed Derek was wasting his potential, James stated. Derek Harlo arrived from New York the day after the body was discovered. During the interrogation, he appeared dejected and irritated. Derek admitted that he had visited his father the night before for a conversation. Yes, we argued. I tried to explain to him that his terms were unfair. But as always, he didn't want to listen to me, Derek said. He claimed to have left the house around 11:30 p.m. and drove straight back to New York. The review of surveillance footage confirmed that Derek had indeed left the estate at the stated time. However, the detectives noted that it takes about 4 hours to drive to New York, and Derek couldn't provide a clear alibi for the time of his father's death. The medical examiner determined Gregory's time of death to be between 1 o'clock and 3 a.m. The cause of death was strangulation. Signs of a struggle were found on the victim's body, indicating that Gregory had resisted the attacker. During the crime scene investigation, forensic experts discovered skin particles under the victim's fingernails. The samples were sent for DNA analysis. Fingerprints were also found on a broken vase, which did not belong to Gregory or any of the staff. The detectives reviewed the Harlo family's financial documents. It was revealed that Harlo Technologies had recently faced serious financial difficulties due to a failed project. Gregory had been forced to take out a large loan against his personal property to save the business from bankruptcy. This information led the investigators to wonder, could the murder have been connected to financial problems, or was it the result of a family conflict? As the investigation progressed, Detectives Martinez and Chun found themselves entangled in a web of family secrets and financial manipulations. Each new fact raised more questions than answers. One thing was clear. Behind the respectable facade of the Harlo family lay dark secrets, and someone was willing to commit murder to keep them hidden. The investigation took an unexpected turn when Detectives Martinez and Chun began to take a closer look at Evelyn Harlo's activities within her father's company. At first glance, Evelyn seemed like the perfect heir. Smart, ambitious, and dedicated to the family business. However, upon closer inspection, cracks began to appear in her impeccable image. An analysis of Harlo Technologies' financial documents revealed a series of suspicious transactions related to a project that had nearly driven the company to bankruptcy. Detectives discovered that significant sums had been transferred to offshore accounts controlled by a company registered in the Cayman Islands. Further investigation showed that this offshore company was linked to an investment fund managed by James Foster, Evelyn's husband. This information led investigators to reconsider Evelyn's role in the company's financial troubles. Detectives conducted a second interrogation of Evelyn, this time focusing on her involvement in managing the problematic project. Under the pressure of the evidence, Evelyn began to grow nervous and inconsistent in her statements. Yes, I supervised that project, Evelyn admitted. But I didn't know about the transfers to offshore accounts. It must be a mistake. However, further questioning revealed that Evelyn was aware of the financial manipulations. She claimed she was acting under her father's instructions, who allegedly wanted to protect the company's assets from potential lawsuits. Father always said that in business you need to have a backup plan. He insisted on creating this offshore structure, Evelyn explained. The detectives decided to verify this version. They reached out to Gregory Harlo's personal accountant, Alan Pearson. Pearson confirmed that Gregory had indeed discussed creating an offshore company, but abandoned the idea after consulting with lawyers. Gregory was an honest businessman. He would not have approved of such dubious schemes, Pearson stated. This information cast doubt on Evelyn's version and prompted the detectives to dig deeper. They turned their attention to Evelyn and James's personal finances. It was discovered that the couple was living extravagantly, far beyond their reported income. Detectives also found that Evelyn had recently purchased expensive real estate in the Bahamas, registered under a shell company. The source of the funds for this purchase was unclear. All these facts painted a troubling picture. It seemed that Evelyn, along with her husband, had used her position in the company for personal gain, putting her father's business at risk. The detectives speculated that Gregory might have discovered his daughter's schemes. Perhaps this, rather than Evelyn's professional achievements, was the real reason for his decision to change his will. Gregory might have been planning to remove his daughter from the company's management, giving Evelyn a motive for murder. However, the investigators had no direct evidence linking Evelyn to her father's death. Her alibi for the night of the murder remained unshakable. James still confirmed that they had spent the night at home. The detectives decided to check the surveillance cameras in the area around Evelyn and James's house. To their surprise, the footage from the night of the murder was missing. A security employee explained it as a technical glitch, but the detectives suspected that someone had deliberately erased the recordings. The investigation reached a dead end. Evelyn had both the motive and the opportunity to commit the murder, but solid proof was still lacking. The detectives knew they needed to dig deeper to uncover the full truth behind Gregory Harlo's death. While the investigation into Evelyn's activities continued, Detectives Martinez and Chun decided to take a closer look at Derek Harlo's life. At first glance, the younger son seemed the least likely suspect, a bohemian artist living far from family drama. However, as they delved deeper into his past, the investigators discovered that behind the facade of a creative personality was a man burdened by deep resentments and financial troubles. The detectives traveled to New York to personally inspect Derek's studio and interview his acquaintances. The studio was small and cluttered, with unfinished paintings of dark, distorted faces hanging on the walls. Neighbors described Derek as a reclusive man who frequently abused alcohol. Derek's gallerist, Alex Morgan, told the detectives about the artist's financial difficulties. Derek is talented, but his work doesn't sell well. He constantly asked for advances against future sales, Morgan reported. He also mentioned that Derek often complained about his father, calling him a tyrant and a dream killer. Further investigation revealed that Derek had significant debts. He owed money to his landlord and several loan sharks from New York's criminal circles. The detectives found threatening messages on Derek's phone from creditors demanding repayment. This information made the investigators reconsider Derek's motives. Perhaps his visit to his father the day before the murder was not just a family dispute but a desperate attempt to get money. The detectives conducted a second interrogation of Derek, this time in his New York studio. Under the pressure of the evidence, Derek began to reveal more details about his visit to his father's house. "Yes, I went to ask for money," Derek confessed. "I needed to pay off my debts. I thought my father would understand and help. But he just laughed at me." Derek described a brutal argument that took place in Gregory's study. According to him, his father called him a failure and a disgrace to the family. Gregory allegedly stated that he would no longer finance useless hobbies for his son. "I was furious," Derek admitted. "I grabbed a vase and wanted to throw it at my father, but at the last moment, I came to my senses and dropped it on the floor. After that, I left." This confession explained the presence of Derek's fingerprints on the broken vase. However, it also cast doubt on his initial claim that he immediately left for New York. The detectives decided to check Derek's route on the night of the murder. They requested data from surveillance cameras on the roads between Palm Beach and New York. To their surprise, Derek's car was spotted returning in the direction of the Harlo house around 1:30 a.m., right around the estimated time of the murder. When the detectives presented this evidence to Derek, he turned pale. I don't remember that," he muttered. "I was drunk and upset. Maybe I decided to go back and talk to my father again." This new information made Derek the prime suspect. He had a motive, financial problems, and deep resentment toward his father. He had the opportunity. He was near the crime scene at the time of the murder. Moreover, his physical strength matched the method of killing, strangulation. However, the detectives still could not entirely rule out Evelyn's involvement. They knew there were too many inconsistencies and hidden motives in this case. The investigation continued, and the investigators were determined to get to the truth, no matter how unpleasant it might be. The investigation into Gregory Harlo's murder took an unexpected turn when detectives Martinez and Chun received the results of the DNA analysis taken from under the victim's fingernails. To their surprise, the sample did not match either Derek or Evelyn. Moreover, the DNA belonged to a woman who was not in the police database. This fact prompted the investigators to reevaluate all the evidence they had. They returned to the testimony of the housekeeper, Maria Gomez, who had first discovered the body. During a second interrogation, Maria seemed nervous and confused about the details. The detectives noticed a fresh scratch on her hand that she was trying to hide. Under pressure from the evidence, Maria finally admitted that she had lied in her initial statement. On the night of the murder, she had indeed heard an argument between Gregory and Derek, but after Derek left, she went to Gregory's office herself. I wanted to talk to Mr. Harlo, Maria confessed through tears. He promised to help my family get green cards, but that evening, he said he had changed his mind. According to Maria, the conversation escalated into a heated argument. Gregory allegedly threatened to fire her and deport her entire family. In a fit of desperation, Maria grabbed a desk lamp and hit Gregory over the head. When he tried to call for help, she panicked and strangled him with the cord from the same lamp. I didn't mean to kill him, Maria sobbed. I was just scared for my family. After the murder, Maria tried to stage a robbery by scattering items around the office. She then returned to her room and pretended to know nothing until she discovered the body in the morning. This confession explained many inconsistencies in the case, including the time of death and the lack of signs of forced entry. However, the detectives were not in a hurry to close the case. They understood that Maria's confession, while plausible, did not explain all the circumstances. The investigators decided to check Maria's financial transactions. To their surprise, they discovered that a large sum of money had been deposited into her account the day before the murder. The source of the payment was an offshore company linked to James Foster, Evelyn's husband. This finding made the detectives wonder, was Maria just a simple housekeeper who committed murder in a fit of desperation, or was she a pawn in a more complex game? They decided to interrogate Evelyn and James again, this time separately. Under the pressure of the evidence, James began to grow nervous and inconsistent in his statements. He admitted that he knew about Evelyn's financial manipulations within the company, but claimed he had no direct involvement. Evelyn said her father threatened to take everything away from us, James said. She was in a panic and asked me to help hide the money. I just wanted to protect our family. When the detectives asked him about the money transfer to Maria, James turned pale. I don't know anything about that, he muttered. You need to talk to Evelyn. Evelyn, however, remained more composed under pressure. She denied any involvement in her father's murder and claimed to know nothing about the money transfer to Maria. Maybe my father transferred the money to her himself, Evelyn suggested. He often helped his employees financially. The detectives realized they were getting closer to the truth, but key details still eluded them. They decided to reanalyze all the evidence they had, hoping to find the missing link that would tie everything together. Detectives Martinez and Chun spent a sleepless night analyzing all the collected evidence. They understood that every suspect in this case was hiding something, and the key to solving the mystery lay in the intricate web of lies and half-truths. The breakthrough came when they re-examined the surveillance footage from Evelyn and James's house. A technical expert discovered that the footage had not been deleted but was cleverly edited. After restoring the original files, the detectives saw Evelyn leaving the house around midnight on the night of the murder and returning about 3 hours later. Armed with this new evidence, the investigators decided to conduct a confrontation between all the suspects: Evelyn, James, Derek, and Maria. They hoped that facing each other would cause someone to finally break. The interrogation began with the presentation of the new evidence. When the detectives showed the restored footage, Evelyn turned pale. James looked shocked, while Derek began to fidget nervously in his chair. Evelyn, where were you that night? Detective Martinez asked. After a long pause, Evelyn finally spoke. I went to see my father. I found out he was planning to remove me from the company's management because of my financial misconduct. I wanted to persuade him not to do it. And what happened? Martinez continued. When I arrived, I saw that the light was on in my father's office. I heard loud voices. It was my father and Maria. They were arguing about something. Then there was a loud thud, and everything went quiet. Evelyn spoke slowly, choosing her words carefully. Maria, hearing this, burst into tears. It's true. I hit Mr. Harlo with the lamp. But I didn't mean to kill him. I was just scared. Then who strangled him? Detective Chun asked. A heavy silence fell over the room. Suddenly, Derek spoke. It was Evelyn. I saw her enter the house as I was leaving. I turned around and came back because I had forgotten my phone. When I approached my father's office, I saw Evelyn strangling him with the lamp cord. Maria was lying unconscious on the floor. Evelyn jumped up. You're lying. You wanted to kill him yourself because of the money. Enough. James intervened. Evelyn, tell them the truth. We can't keep hiding this anymore. Under the weight of the evidence and the confessions from the other suspects, Evelyn finally broke down. She admitted that she had indeed killed her father, but insisted it was an accident. I just wanted to talk to him, to convince him not to destroy what I had built in the company. When I arrived, Maria had already hit him. He was furious, shouting that he would ruin us all. He lunged at me and I just defended myself. I didn't mean to kill him. The detectives listened carefully to all the confessions. The picture of the crime finally became clear. Maria had indeed been the first to attack Gregory, but the fatal blow was delivered by Evelyn. Derek had become an accidental witness, and James had helped cover up the crime. You are all under arrest, Detective Martinez announced. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in court. As the suspects were led out of the room, the detectives exchanged glances. They had solved the case, but the victory left a bitter taste. The Harlo family had been destroyed not only by Gregory's death, but also by the web of lies, greed, and betrayal woven by those closest to him. The trial of the Harlo family members and their housekeeper, Maria Gomez, attracted widespread public attention. The media dubbed the case the fall of the Harlo Empire, and the story of a family destroyed by greed and deceit became the subject of countless discussions and analytical articles. Evelyn Harlo was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter and financial fraud. The court sentenced her to 15 years in prison. Her husband, James Foster, received a 5-year sentence for his involvement in covering up the crime and his role in the financial fraud. Derek Harlo avoided prison but was sentenced to 2 years of probation for giving false testimony. The court took into account his role in uncovering the truth about the events of that night. Maria Gomez was found guilty of assault resulting in death, but considering the circumstances and her cooperation with the investigation, she received a minimal sentence of 3 years, with the possibility of early release. Harlo Technologies, finding itself at the center of the scandal, faced serious financial and reputational issues. Many clients terminated their contracts, and the company's stock plummeted. Eventually, the board of directors decided to sell the company to a competitor, leading to mass layoffs. Detectives Martinez and Chun were promoted for solving this complex case. However, both admitted that this victory left a bitter taste. Sometimes, in the pursuit of truth, we forget the human side of a crime, Martinez reflected in an interview with a local newspaper. Every decision, every lie in this case had its reasons. It doesn't justify the crime, but it makes you think about the fine line between justice and compassion. Chun added, this case showed how easily a prosperous family can collapse from within. Greed, envy, distrust. These feelings slowly erode relationships until it's too late. The story of the Harlo family became the subject of numerous studies by psychologists and sociologists. Many saw it as a reflection of broader issues in modern society: the generational divide, the pressure of success, and the cost of ambition. One well-known psychologist noted, "The tragedy of the Harlo family is a lesson for all of us. It shows how important it is to maintain open communication within the family, respect differences, and not let material values overshadow human relationships." A year after the trial concluded, the site of the Harlo mansion was turned into a public park. This decision was made by the city council after lengthy debates on how best to use the property confiscated from the family. At the center of the park, a small memorial was installed with the inscription, "In memory of Gregory Harlo and all those whose lives were touched by this tragedy." May this place serve as a reminder of the value of family, honesty, and forgiveness. The Harlo case forever changed the lives of all its participants. It served as a reminder that even the most prosperous families can harbor dark secrets and how easily ambition and greed can destroy what was built over years. But it also demonstrated the power of justice and the importance of uncovering the truth, no matter how unappealing it might be. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new stories that are coming out every day.